Welcome to the Norton Rose Fulbright YouTube channel, Energy Transition, The Pace of Change. I am Julien Bocobza, a partner in our London office. Today, I have the pleasure of hosting Mo Vargas, President and CEO of BayoTech. Mo, welcome. Could you please introduce yourself and your business?
Hi, Julien. Thank you for having me. Great to meet you. My name is Mo Vargas. I'm the CEO for BayoTech. BayoTech is a company that's in the hydrogen industry. Our goal is to make hydrogen easy. We're a single point of contact for low cost, low carbon hydrogen. We supply it reliably when and wherever you need it. Our goal is that we're really giving hydrogen consumers a powerful choice today. We're disrupting the established centralized hydrogen supply chain with a new, highly efficient model of local production hubs. And it's the first step in making hydrogen more affordable, sustainable, and accessible. So, it's what we're basically doing is we're building a distributed hydrogen power company. We want to be as close to the customer as possible. And, our two goals is to drive down the cost of hydrogen at the point of utilization and to just provide that hydrogen with the lowest carbon intensity possible at the point of utilization.
That's great. So obviously you're in the hydrogen business, which is, in our view, one of the potential technology at the core of the energy transition. So what does the energy transition mean to you?
It's a significant structural change that is happening, right? As we're shifting away from the kind of the traditional base systems of energy production and consumption to new energy sources, right? It's going to take time. And it's going to be evolutionary, right? And I think that's really important, is that people see it as a shift. And as we progress towards this journey towards decarbonization, it's important that our solutions be accessible to everyone and everywhere. At BayoTech, our purpose is to provide customers with affordable hydrogen, but our mission really goes beyond that. We aim to make hydrogen more accessible today to accelerate a clean energy transition that brings zero emission targets, really within reach today.
So the way you see BayoTech as accelerating the energy transition is obviously very interesting. So you're at the core of the process. So how do you see that happening? And how do you see, because like when you look at energy transition and hydrogen, it seems that it's changing almost, every week. There is a new project, there is new technology, new acquisition, new announcements. So how do you handle this, and how your company deal with the energy transition in that sector, which is the hydrogen production sector?
Yeah, I think what we're seeing is that as customers are going out and starting to try and really get engaged with energy transition, there's an opportunity for them to really get involved and really try to get vertically integrated into what's happening. When we look at the solutions they're trying to fix, and for example, when you look at hydrogen, there's two parts to this, right? One is the application. So let's use transportation as an example. If they want to do something in transportation, they're going to be looking at either their fleet, or if you're a transit agency, you may be looking at getting new buses to try those out. So that's a pretty big investment, because a lot of, for example, they're using fuel cells. The cost of those those fuel cells are still coming down in terms of cost, so they're going to be higher than using, for example, diesel alternative or even using compressed natural gas. So you have an additional cost that's going to be involved in that. And then there's a second part to that, which is the infrastructure, because then you're asking a customer to also get involved into the hydrogen industry, right? Which is a big thing to ask. So our goal as a company is to at least get rid of that part of them and say, hey, listen, BayoTech as a company, our goal is we will provide you the hydrogen for that, so that you don't have to invest either from a CapEx standpoint, and we're going to provide that to you at a very low cost competitive that's going to be equivalent to your cost in diesel. So that's going to help accelerate and be able to use some of those applications today. And then you'll hopefully get some either government subsidies, not for our portion, but maybe to help offset some of the cost of the initial cost for the fuel cells for the buses and for the trucks.
And do you see demand as being a challenge? Because you're offering hydrogen to customers, and everybody is talking about energy transition, which will require a lot of hydrogen, but ultimately often with 2030, 2040, 2050 as a potential target. How do you see that difference between the demand and what you offer?
We've been really fortunate that in 2020 we saw our demand, our sales quadruple from 2019 to 2020. we saw that we've seen that for the first half of this year, we're already done almost the amount of sales that we did in 2020, and we expect to do about 2.5 to 3 times the sales for the total year. And if you look at what we're going to do in the next 6 months, so for the second half of 2021 is going to be the same thing we've done in the last 2.5 years, right? So we're seeing tremendous growth, and we expect 2022 to be probably another 2.5 times what we do this year. So we're seeing really nice growth and trajectory going on in terms of both what we're seeing in high pressure distribution side of the business. So what customers are doing for the fueling stations in terms of moving hydrogen to get ready for fueling all the transports that both Nissan and Toyota are putting out for their vehicles. We're seeing it also in stationary applications. We're also seeing it for generators, and then also for obviously our hydrogen generators as well.
No, that's great. Thank you very much. I guess you're saying now that there is a lot of growth, so demand is increasing. How are you dealing with this? Like, what are your plans for the next few years in order to meet that demand?
It's a really exciting time. So for us, we're really fortunate in that we've got a really great core team that we started off with, and we continue to build that team. When I joined, for example, there was only about 15 of us. We've added on by the end of the year last year we were 30. By the end of April we were 60. As of the end of last month we're close to 100. So we've been growing very, very quickly, bringing on a lot of really strong people. We grew all through the COVID. We haven't laid off anyone during our whole time here. We learned to all work remotely, for the most part, except for obviously the people who are building things that they still have to go in. We've been very fortunate that we've got above 90% vaccination rate, so that's helped us out, and people were very strong about wearing masks and doing all the things and not letting things get politicized in terms of being healthy and taking care of each other and their teammates. But it all comes with challenges too. There have been supply chain challenges. We had to raise money in the process. We raised $160 million during COVID. So that was quite a challenge, but we were fortunate enough to be able to get 4 term sheets in the process and do all of that. We have aspirations of we're going to be building about 25 facilities here over the next 2 to 3 years. So that's an important part of our business model. Obviously, we've done a large acquisition, and we plan on doing a few more. So we plan on taking the company public here in the fall. A lot of great activity as we continue to get all the capital required to build what we're doing. So it's a very exciting time.
Yeah, it seems you're really harnessing the energy transition and making the most of it, so, which is great. And perhaps as a last question, if we look a bit ahead and we look at the energy transition more generally, what do you think are the biggest opportunities and challenges in the next 5 years or 10 years?
Yeah, we really want to, I think what we want to be able to do is scale the production of low-cost hydrogen, quickly to encourage the energy sector, transportation, and industries like steel and cement to move away from fossil fuels. So, we're looking at a lot of different ways of generating hydrogen. We started with steam methane reformation. There's a $1.5 trillion existing natural gas infrastructure that we should all leverage. We always talk about the importance of not talking about colors of hydrogen, because that's something that the electrolysis companies came up as a marketing ploy, but now that people are talking about carbon intensity and really measuring well to wheel, that's really important to continue looking at all the different ways of generating hydrogen. We want to continue to drive down the cost of fuel cell applications. That's going to be important. We need to have both the chicken and the egg to be lower cost. To drive adoption and increase demand for hydrogen. And we want to deploy, the infrastructure to make hydrogen accessible everywhere, where and when it is needed. So sufficient fueling station and transporting low-cost hydrogen. We think it's not just the generation of the hydrogen. What everyone forgets is that on all these new applications, you got to get it to where the application is. And the difference between kind of the old world of hydrogen and the new world of hydrogen is the new world is a distributed application. So you have to figure out how to get the hydrogen, and hydrogen, because it's such low volumetric energy density, especially compared to natural gas, it's like 1/3 of volumetric energy density. It's very difficult to transport and very expensive to transport.
So that's one of the challenge for larger projects, and that's where you have a big advantage, I think.
Yeah. So that's why it's all about distributed, and I think that's the opportunity, and that's what's great, right? I mean, I think especially in the world today where people are wanting to everyone get involved in more distributed solutions. This is a great fit, and that's where it's not a silver bullet, right? I mean, I think there's going to be a great place for electrolysis. There's going to be a great place for SMR. There's a lot of really cool technologies coming up. Using biogas is going to be a great solution. Capturing as much methane that's out there and not letting that go up, that's going to help a lot, and turning that into hydrogen. There's just it's going to be, I think, a lot of fun, and for people who are creative and from some good scientists and people who know how to commercialize technologies, they're going to have a lot of fun.
And do you see actually the technology evolving quickly or not?
Well, I think it depends on the technology, right? I think there's always new technologies coming out, right? I think one thing is it always makes me smile when either I have board members send me things that they read in articles, or people through LinkedIn who reach out to me and say, oh, we have these things, these ideas. But being a fourth-time CEO of kind of a last mile of commercialization, it's a long trajectory, right? To take an idea, a concept that may come up in a university, and take that all the way to actually making money at it. And there's there are many stages, right? From venture capital all the way to actually becoming a successful product. So I think there are a lot of interesting concepts that may even work technically, but to make it work economically are two different things. And as you know, as an attorney, and to be able to get project finance behind it, and especially if it's a big project, right? If it's something that needs hundreds of millions of dollars of financing, that's a whole different thing to get debt financing. So I think what we're trying to do is set up a vehicle where many of those concepts can come and be able to have a R&D front end shop where we can drop in some of these concepts, and we can try some of these things within that vehicle and allow some of these to commercialize, whether it be through us acquiring, licensing, or partnering with it and getting that access. We won't be able to do it for everything, of course, but we think there's some things that might be a good fit.
That's great. Well, thank you very much, Mo, and thank you everyone for listening. If you want to hear more about the energy transition, please subscribe to our YouTube channel and don't miss the next episode.